Good morning and welcome to Everyday Money Matters on Lagos Talks 91.3 FM. It's a beautiful, beautiful Wednesday, the 7th of July. My name is Adu, and of course, we do this in partnership with our friends at Nairametrics, and today will not be an exception. So I have with me a very, shall I say, rich Tim today joining me, and I'll start by introducing our finance man, Olumide Adeshina, who is here with me live. Olumide, good morning. How are you today?
Yeah, good morning, Nadu. Yeah,
Hi.
thanks for having me on your
All
show
right.
again.
Good to have
Yeah,
you here as always. And today we have a special addition to the ranks in the person of CG Shoeta. CG, how are you today?
Good morning. I'm very well, thank you. And you?
I'm wonderful. Good to have you here. So CG is joining us and he'll be part of the conversation today. I'll let you know why in a couple of moments. And not too far from now, Ugo Dre will be joining us himself as we will get into the show. Now, today is a special edition of Everyday Money Matters. Now, we are in a time where everything seems to be focused on the younger generation, particularly because 70, almost 60% of Africa's population are youth. So today we want to look at the Generation Z, which are people who were born between 1997, 2012, thereabout, and how they relate to money. So it's a Everyday Money Matters special edition focused at people within that age bracket. So if you are between that age bracket, or you have children within that age bracket, or you have siblings within that age bracket, you really want to listen in and find out how Generation Zs can save money, invest, and maximize the different investment platforms that are available to them in this modern time. So that's why CG Shoeton is joining us. CG, how are you today? Good to have you one more time. And of course, Olumide is in the building. So remember, if you have questions, you can always send them to us on our WhatsApp platform. It's 0809 to get across to us. Tell us what it is that you want to ask. And the team here would definitely get to respond to you right away. Olumide, before CJ begins to respond to some of the questions, just wanted to bring this up on the crypto market. And this is about savings in cryptocurrency, or particularly converting a significant amount in savings to cryptocurrency. So this person is asking and saying, do you think it's wise to convert a significant amount of my savings to cryptocurrency? Like to quickly answer that so that we can get on with other aspects of the show.
okay. Yeah, I think that's a bit trickish, but the narrative is that it's not wise to put your savings in a substantial amount of savings in volatile assets like crypto. You could see that happened in the crypto market in the past few months have shown that prices can often go down so fast. But this is the catch. I don't understand the net worth of the investor, the age, like you're saying, and so many other factors in put in place. But the bottom line is that substantial amount of your savings should have a kind of consistent amount of cash flow first of all. So we're talking about investments like debt instruments, high yielding saving accounts, and boosting your intellectual capacity. So primarily putting a bulk of your funds into crypto might not be a smart thing. Albeit there are crypto investments that give you consistent amount of income. Like we have there's this USDC yielding account where you get about between 4 to 13% yield depending on your tenor. So that's another channel people can look at that. But still, it's advisable not to put so much into volatile assets.
All right, thank you. So now that we have that out of the way, Olumide, let's talk to CJ. CJ, how are you one more time? Good to have you here. So I hear a little bird whispered to me that you are getting ready to go into the university. Are you excited about that?
Yes, thank you for first of all asking. Yes, I just recently graduated from secondary school and I'm starting university in September. So definitely excited to begin that new journey.
Right, I can imagine. And you sound like someone who first class is smelling on you. Anyway, so let's talk about money, because one of the things that I remember from my time back in school is you always somehow run out of money as a student. So the first question I think we'll just like to look into here is, um, do you need a credit system when you're going to the university? What is a credit card, and do I need it in the university? Olumide and CJ, what do you guys think about that?
Okay, so I think to first of all describe a credit card, I'll start with a debit card. So if you know what a debit card is, it's basically a card that you can use to make transactions and you can pay for things, but it is linked to your account. So it is based on the amount of money that you have on your account, and you can't really spend more than that. A credit card, however, I think is a bit more dangerous because it is essentially you getting an amount of money that's like a prepaid limit, like not prepaid rather, a pre-agreed limit of money that you can spend on that card, but it's you don't actually have that money. You just have an agreed amount that you've set with a bank that they allow you to spend that amount of money on a credit card. So you don't actually have the money with you, but you can spend it. The thing that a lot of people don't realize is that you actually have to pay that money back. There's no such thing as free money. So you can be spending that money, but you eventually will have to pay that money back. And a lot of people can get into trouble from this because they obviously don't have the funds to repay it. And you can get into all these things called credit card debts, and it just becomes a whole downward spiral. So I would first of all say you don't really need one. I mean, it can be helpful for you to like build up a credit score or to like get used to the credit market, but it is not a necessity, I wouldn't say.
So you're not going to go with a credit card to the to the university?
No, I don't think I'm going to get one, at least not in my first year. Especially,
That's a smart choice, because you can't be thinking of grades and thinking of pay at the same time. Anyway, let's look at some other angles to this. One of the things that a lot of people in this particular age bracket are beginning to see is the power of diversified investment. So considering your foray now into the university, what investment concepts or investment platforms are you considering? Are you looking at exploring?
Yeah, so I'm doing a lot of research into cryptocurrency. And I say I'm doing research because I feel like it is very important to understand what you're going into before you put money into it. So I'm doing a lot of research into that because I think it is going to be like a big thing moving forward. It's a new kind of digital currency, and I think it can definitely be a big thing. And also, I'm also looking into treasury bills and buying stocks in companies. I have to save up a lot more for that first, but yeah, those are the avenues I'm really looking at for investment.
Olumide, considering the advantage, because one of the things, CG, that affects investment is the age of the investor. It will qualify you for certain risks, the time you have on earth, what kind of long-term investments you're able to make. Olumide, what would you say are, should I say, recommended investments that a person within the age bracket of a Generation Z should consider when they're making investments?
Yeah, I think for a bright gentleman like falling in CG's category, first of all, high risk assets are not difficult to consider because they have a lot of time to learn and stuff to a lot of waters to pull. But these are the things you need to understand. First of all, personal research is very important, intellectual capacity, and that's what CG is talking about. You need to understand these assets properly. So you need to spend some time. So there's nothing bad spending years learning these assets, you understand? So this will help. Then secondly, he also needs to understand the fact of risk management. It doesn't be because these things are high yielding, you put your eggs in just any basket. So first of all, he has to be prudent. He has to understand the value of risk management. In fact, research has shown that the world's most powerful, world's richest people, they spend below their means. So when you understand that narrative, that it's not really just investing in assets that give you good returns, it's being disciplined, being frugal, understanding how to buy, when to sell, and trying to sieve noise from genuinity. Those things will help. He needs to understand that it's not everything that is news that is news. It's not every asset that is an asset that some looks like a liability. So that's one of the major things. So education is a very key foundation and risk management. So when he has that in place, the sky will not be his limit. Because I'll take you back. Look at Mark Zuckerberg, for example. Mark Zuckerberg is just 37-year-old, and this guy is so rich that he can afford to give every Nigerian $200 to $500, and that's to tell you because the dude understood the value of intellectual capacity. Microsoft offered him a job at his college years, but he understood how the compounding effect of knowledge could be. And look at us today, the creator of Facebook, Instagram, and so many things. So these are things we need to imbibe in our youth. Intellectual capacity is very, very important. And discipline, delay gratification. This is not the time to buy an iPhone. If you have money for an iPhone, this is the time to consider do some professional courses, do so many things that will enable your productivity. And that's not the problem we have in our Nigerian youth. They often tend to move towards instant gratification. They always want to buy a Ferrari. They want to buy things that puts us in trouble because you see, we are moving towards the economy is moving towards debt. If you look at, though we are not using credit cards and stuff like that, but we're already highly indebted. So that's my narrative on that.
All right. Thank you very much, Olumide. When you said that people want to buy Ferraris, I just thought to myself that the world we live in is instant. We have instant noodles, instant burgers, instant fries. Everything is instant. Anyway, thanks for that sound counsel. Ugo, before you come on, someone is asking that as an 18-year-old, can I invest in stocks and bond, and what is the difference between both of them? But before Ugo Dre answers that, CJ, just want to ask you, do you know the difference between stocks and bonds?
Yeah, I think I can give it just a bit of my opinion on this. So the difference between stocks and bonds. So when you buy stock in a company, you're basically taking a little bit of ownership of that company. I mean, it really depends on the amount you buy, but you basically buy a bit of that company and you become a partial owner, you become a shareholder. And what that means is that at the end of maybe every quarter, every half, like year, or maybe every year, you get a portion of that company's profits called a dividend. So when you buy stock in a company, you become a shareholder, and as such, you now make money from that. But the difference between that and a bond is that when you buy a bond, you're essentially loaning somebody money with the pre-agreement that you're going to get that money back with interest. So for example, if you're like a government bond, for example, like if you're buying government bond, you're basically giving the government money for an amount of time with the agreements or the knowledge that you're going to get that money back with interest. It's actually a very secure form of investment as far as I know. So yes, that's what I understand.
All right, let the money man himself, Ugo Dre, an 18-year-old who wants to make a first investment, bonds and stock.
He kind of answered that question though brilliantly, don't you think?
No, he did actually, but of course, now I want to talk about the application of it, because the mechanics of bonds and stock in terms of compounding interest and the time involved is slightly different. So as an 18-year-old,
so as an 18-year-old, conventional wisdom would suggest that you should invest in risky, high risk, high rewarding investment, because you're young and there's enough time for you to take risk and accumulate wealth, right? So if we go by that notion, then stocks would seem a bit more appealing. Now, stock is also appealing because it doesn't require as much capital as some bonds would require. Be that as it may, you still have bonds that you can buy at similar kind of capital to stocks. So, but they're actually quite both good. But I would lean towards stocks than towards bonds, and that's also because stocks also carry on capital appreciation capabilities. So, which means the stock you buy, at let's say 10 naira when you're 18, can be worth 150 naira when you're 36. We haven't seen a lot of that in Nigeria, but of course, we're in a global world now. So there are stocks like that in the US that you can buy, or in other financial markets that can give you that kind of return. But I do something that is very important. As an 18-year-old, you are obviously an adult. You're on your own. You can make decisions yourself. But I often advise that you should seek like some kind of, guidance, or, some a mentor, someone that should also guide you and teach you and explain to you some of the risk, upsides and downsides of making this kind of investments. That way you learn to reduce your risk. Olumide spoke about Mark Zuckerberg. He actually had very solid mentors earlier on. And a lot of his mentors were people who had, who also had skin in the game, and people who had been there and done that. In fact, his early mentor was the founder of Napstars, one of the very first startups to hit it big, in the early 90s. So that guy mentored him a whole lot. So you do need mentoring when you're going to be going into this kind of investment, especially when you're at least, I think, below 21. So long as you're in university, I kind of think you should need a mentor. Andrew.
Thank you, Godre. Let me just let the listeners know that you can watch this over and over again. Perhaps you have someone in that age bracket who you think this content will be relevant for. You can recommend to them for them to go to our YouTube or that of Nairametrics at youtube.com/Nairametrics, and they can watch this content again. And you can hear the answers to the questions, and it could serve as a compass for you. Perhaps you are just finished from school and you're about to get into the uni, and you need to just glean from this wisdom over and over again. It's Nairametrics on YouTube. You'll find it there. Perhaps you also want to have a little bit more in-depth analysis, and you want to get more hands-on, shall I say, guidance. There's something called a Stock Select newsletter that Nairametrics puts out every month that helps you to know what to buy, what to sell, what to hold, making you a smart investor. It can help you to navigate the frontiers of investment. And all you have to do is subscribe to it, and you'll get a personalized monthly recommendation. You'll get, more in-depth description of the stock market and how to get the best out of it. And so it's called the Nairametrics Stock Select newsletter. So for you to subscribe to that, you have to go to ssn.nairametrics.com. So instead of www.nairametrics.com, you'll type in ssn.nairametrics.com in your browser, and it'll take you there. You make the subscription, and you'll get to glean from this particular, should I say, guidance tool from Nairametrics. All right. CG, I know one of the questions that might be running through your mind is, how am I going to make money in school, whilst in school? So off the top of your head, what are your strategies to cash in school? You don't have to tell us all the details so people don't steal your ideas, but just give us like top of the iceberg, tip of the iceberg.
Okay, so I think I'll just give an example based on like my past experiences. So I actually went to boarding school for the past few years, and in the past 2 years, what I did was actually, okay, the advice I would give to someone essentially is to kind of capitalize based on the services people might need in your school. So, and based on what you can provide. So for me, for example, I can do hair pretty well. And so I knew a lot of people wanted to get their hair done for like a cheaper rate, especially because I can do that for them. And it's like, I'm very close to them physically, so I can easily provide that for them. So I was doing people's hair in school for money. It wasn't like I wouldn't charge as much as if they were to go to like a regular salon or something, but I was making a profit from it because it was just easier for me to do that. I didn't have to pay like transport or anything. I just, I had very low cost of operation. So I was able to like make a profit from that. So I would say to anyone that's trying to make money in school, if there's a service you can provide that people need, maybe they need you to make food for them, or like you can do tutoring or whatever. It really depends on you, of course, on what you can provide and also what you think people would need or want. But yes, you can definitely look at that as a way to make money in school. But that's what I really did.
So quick question. I'm curious though, when you made money from the hair making, what did you do? Did you save it, or did you take the boys to the talk shop?
A lot of money I made from there I saved because and there's also like a bit of like a nugget for people. When you get money that you are not already expecting, or like you didn't really plan for in your budget that you had earlier, I would definitely recommend you either save or invest it, because it's kind of like an extra money, like bonus money. You can because you weren't expecting to have it. So your plan wasn't already to get that money. So I would definitely recommend you save it and not really spend it on like things you don't need, because yes, it's nice to go and, indulge every once in a while, but I didn't spend all the money I made from doing hair on just things I wanted. I saved a lot of it.
A smart man. So let me ask you out of curiosity, Olumide, if you could speak to yourself whilst you were 18 years old, like you talk to your 18-year-old self, what is the one advice you give to your 18-year-old version of yourself that you probably have done better or smarter back then?
I think so many things.
No,
Time.
I know you so many things, but I want you to say just one. Just
yeah,
one.
but I think spend more time learning. Spend more time learning. And when I don't mean being in school, I mean the hours you spend. If you're spending 5 hours, spend 10 hours. If you're spending 10 hours, spend 15 hours. You see, the best investment is education, and there's a compound effect. And that's why I tell people, don't just go to school to pass. Don't just go to school to get certificates. Try and let school try and have the applied knowledge in these things. You see, research has shown that the top richest men in the world do basic things, but they are consistent. They were disciplined. When their friends were going to club, these guys were spending their hours burning candles, reading, studying, going through the business now. There's no billionaire that didn't have any easy ride, whether it's self-made, whether it's inherited. These guys pay their dues. And if you look at stories from Anakin's, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, even to Dangote, you see that there's one preamble, and it's the thing that was that they were disciplined. So you need to spend time on yourself alone, try and learn so many things. You see, it's so discerning when you see that the generation we are in right now, especially in Nigeria, a lot of people spend so much time on Instagram trying to look at entertainment. It's not so bad, but we need your productivity hands. You see, the country is already running in high debt. Our foreign reserves is about 33 billion. That is really scary. You understand? It means that we can barely fulfill 6 months of our payment. So what I'm trying to tell the next generation is that, or Generation Z, millennials, is that, man, we depend on you. About 60% of Nigeria's population is falling in your category. You need to increase your productivity. This is not a time for jokes. So for me, I will spend so much time on education right now because that's the thing that is basically lacking in our economy.
Speaking of the internet, Olumide, that you mentioned on Ugodre, one of the quickest ways to amplify your income is through the internet. What are the effective ways that someone in Generation Z can use to make money, whilst in school, from home, online, 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 21-year-old, 20-year-old? What are the effective ways? I know there are many other ways, but the most effective from your years of experience.
Oh, that's an amazing question, Adu. I've thought about it for a while and done a bit of research, and I kind of found out that determining the effective way of making money, for kids, who in secondary school or just about, or even in university, will depend on a number of things. You got to look at cost, you got to look at resources that they need to make that money. You also got to look at time. You got to look at skill because they still got to read because the primary responsibility for kids is still education, right?
Right.
So how do you balance all that while still making enough money, to be in school and to be inspired? And so when you look at all these things put together, it tends towards content. I think that content creation, right? It's probably the best form of money-making venture for, Gen Z, particularly Z kids. I think that's usually the best thing. And why content is so cool is that we live in a different world now. Technology has made things very easy. So people can showcase their talents in different ways, right? So you can be a singer, you can even be a DJ, you can even be like CG said, maybe you can make someone's hair. And that is content for a lot of people. There's a whole new market out there of people who are either interested in the entertainment of your content or in the educational value of your content, right? Or even in the inspirational value of your content. You never just know. Things just get across people in different ways, and they're going to be ready to pay for this. So I think that's really the best form of work. And, people say that we're in a gig economy where work and the way people approach work has kind of changed now, right? Which means you can work from anywhere. That is also one other way that, kids can make money, right? So you can also be a Gen Z and you're, in school, and then you're working for someone else, right? You're doing a job for someone else. Could be something that you're skillful at. It could be art. It could be drawing. It could even be coding, right? So you probably do that at your spare time when you're back from school, turn on your laptop, and then you're writing code for people or you're building websites for people. So those are the kind of jobs that I think, Gen Z guys can do. Content creation kind of jobs, or jobs that, are related to the gig economy that has to do with your skill. I do.
Thank you so much. That's a lot of wisdom there. And CJ, I wish you all the best in uni. You might want to do a video recording of yourself doing all of this, your hair capades with some of your friends, and put it on your social media and let people see that, hey, you got the skills. It might just be one way to eck in some extra income in school. Anyway, wish you all the best. Thank you, Godre and Olumide, for sharing your thoughts as well. And if you are between that age bracket and you're Gen Z, remember to maximize websites that can help you, like Nairametrics.com. Knowledge is available everywhere at the fingertips. So going there, reading the articles that Godre and the rest of the team put out there would really help you navigate this financial world. And before you are dinosaurs like us, you'd have accumulated a lot of knowledge in there. Godre, any final thoughts before we wrap things up this morning?
All right, thanks, Adu. I got a lot of inspiration from today's show, and guess what? We're going to be doing a lot more of this come summer when you have a lot of students at home. So we're going to have a section of this show dedicated to to Gen Z, and we'll have Gen Z questions. So just send in your questions to us. We would treat them on the show, and who knows, you might be the next CG on this show. Back to you, Adu.
All right, thank you, Godre. So next week is going to be another time, and remember, you can watch this over and over again on YouTube. Just go to Nairametrics and you'll find the video there. Thanks, guys, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Bye.